Hello everybody, welcome to the Red Devil Experience. Manchester United 1, Brighton 3. Manchester United lose at Old Trafford again. Another bad loss and a bad display for Ruben Amorim and Manchester United. We're going to get into the match. We're going to break it down. We're going to do live player ratings. Smash the like button if you can real quick. Takes 2 seconds of your time. Massively helps the channel out. But before we get into kind of all the analysis and discussion, I have to say, number one, obviously everybody's going to be talking about the Onana mistake. 157% completely unacceptable. I don't know how you make a mistake like that. I don't know how you possibly do that as a professional goalkeeper, as a professional player, let alone a goalkeeper for Manchester United, but just a professional football player, football goalkeeper making that mistake. Absolutely horrendous. No excuses for that. It was a big reason as to why we lost, because it put the game out of reach for us, but it is not the only reason. There are other reasons as well. We played very poor. We were outclassed. We were outplayed at Old Trafford by Brighton yet again. For the third time in a row, Manchester United were outplayed and outbeaten by Brighton at Old Trafford, which is a huge problem. These things cannot be happening at Manchester United. We just weren't very good today. We just weren't very good today in any sort of way. And we need to do better, and we need to get better. Listen, I mean, Brighton have now won 3 straight games against Manchester United at Old Trafford in the Premier League. And, Manchester United have suffered their 6th home Premier League defeat of the season. The most from their opening 12 home matches of a league season since 1893 94 season, where they had 7. So just absolutely dismal, absolutely terrible. There was a couple players. I think Xerxes had a decent game. Didn't get much service. We didn't create much. So, what is he supposed to do? But I think in terms of link-up play, he looked all right. He did all right. Diallo looked all right. But it just wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough from anybody on the pitch. And yet again, the athleticism, the lack of athleticism that we have in this group of players showed. Because I don't think there was really a lack of effort today. I don't think it was a lack of desire necessarily. But I think the lack of athleticism showed today, the gulf in athleticism between Brighton and Manchester United and the two teams respectively. So, I think I don't know. There's a lot of discussion going on. People are rightfully pissed at Onana. They want him sold. Listen, he's made plenty of mistakes. Last match, a couple days ago, 3-4 days ago, we were talking about how we gave Onana a 7. We said Onana kept us in the game, made some important saves, and we gave him credit. And then you go into a match like today, we're down 2-1 at home at Old Trafford, and you go out and you make an completely unexcusable mistake like that, and you throw the game away at 2-1, and you make it 3-1, and you make it impossible for, even to get a point back. So, I really don't know. This team is a mystery as to, if it's not one guy, it's another guy. If it's not Onana, it's, it's De Ligt one game, or it's Martinez one game, or it's, somebody in the midfield. It's Eriksen, or it's Casemiro, or it's this. Or it's this player. it never sorts itself out as to where the team is kind of all on the same page. And, you know, if one guy's making a mistake one game, the next game he plays all right, somebody else makes a mistake and plays like shit. If, you know, if it's Delo getting a red card one game and putting us down, then he comes back, he plays all right, then Onana makes a mistake. I don't really understand it. I don't really understand the inconsistency in the mentality of these players. It doesn't really make sense. So, you know, and the chat, get involved in the chat. If you're new, please smash the like button. It helps the channel grow, and we greatly appreciate the support. So, but everybody has to say on this channel. I want to hear some new faces as well from some new people. What are you thinking? What are you feeling about the match? Get your opinions in the chat. Everybody gets read out. This is a channel where you know you will be heard, and your opinion will be read out. So, Axe says that I won't even trash talk this time. I will let the result and the performance speak for me. Well, why not? You should probably do more of that, Axe. To be quite honest. I mean, it was a bad performance and it was a bad result. And, yeah, this is not acceptable. Not acceptable. We need better. Gray says Ruben Amorim out. Richard says the first thing Amorim should do is teach Bender how to kick straight, then drop Onana. Today was a disgrace. Well, you know what? Maybe Bender does deserve to get a go. Maybe Bender does deserve to get a go. Listen, he can't kick the ball. He can't kick the ball. He can't kick the ball to save his life, which is a problem. For the way we're playing with the 3 back and we're trying to play out of the back. It's a huge problem that you have a goalkeeper that literally can't kick a ball. I could grab a 7-year-old and they could kick a ball better than Bender. But Bender was fantastic against Arsenal with the saves, the penalty saves, and maybe he deserves a go. I worry about the kicking. I worry about the kicking aspect. What are you going to do with that? Because I think you can't go through another 90 minutes with him kicking the ball the way he did. But shot stopping, Bender was fantastic. So, you know, maybe he deserves a go. Axe says, we looked like a team that desired to win, but didn't know how to play football. It was completely trash, not to mention how bad individual performances were. Nobody adapts to his system. Amorim out. Again, I don't think it has to do with anybody has to adapt to Amorim's system. I don't think it's on Amorim and his system. I don't think it has anything to do with the 3-4-3. I just simply think that today, there were some players on the pitch don't have the athleticism that some Brighton players have. Again, look at Nottingham Forest. They don't have any stars, but they have a team that is well put together. And it's made well, and they complement each other. And we don't have that. We have some big player names, maybe with some people that are expected to be talents, but we don't have a well put together team. So you know, Gray says the low man of the match. Lion says, nah, the game was already gone before Onana's fumble. Listen, I mean, in a way it was. In a way it was. But still, you can't make that type of mistake. You just can't do it. And you absolutely cannot do that. And especially at 2-1. But the team performance was just a disaster. It was super poor, and it certainly felt that way, Lions. It certainly felt like the game was already gone. You know, here's the thing. When we spoke on Friday, I said Manchester United have been conceding first, and Brighton have been scoring first. And I said the first thing I said is Manchester United need to go into this game and not concede the first goal and not concede early. And what did we do? We conceded 4 minutes into the game. We conceded the first goal at home at Old Trafford to Brighton. So right there off the bat was not a good sign. The number one thing Manchester United needed to do was to not concede early and not concede first. We failed those two objectives 5 minutes into the match. From there, we weren't playing great. We woke up a little bit. We get a penalty. We tie it. You know, we equalize. I go, okay. Wake up a little bit. We're playing a little bit. All right. We go into halftime. You think, all right, we make some minor adjustments. And we go and we kick into gear a little bit and we win this match 2-1. And the opposite happens. Yet again. But this is going to keep happening. It's going to keep happening. It's not acceptable. There's no excuses. But again, problem beyond Ruben Amorim. This is the third time. And this is Amorim's first time. And the other two times have nothing to do with Ruben Amorim. Brighton have come and they have beaten Manchester United at Old Trafford. So we have an issue as a club, as a whole. Because now this is becoming a thing. Regardless of manager, now this is becoming a thing. Where they show up to Old Trafford and they beat us. Where they play us irregardless and they beat us. Mentality issue. Quality issue with the players. 110%. 110%. Grace says you will be heard. It's mandatory. It is absolutely mandatory. Grace says I think Amorim should adapt and play a 3-4-1-2. I don't know if the lineup is necessarily the issue. I just look at the team and the way they play, and I don't really think the formation is necessarily the issue. I just think that it's the identity and the mentality of the players, and some of the quality. In terms of, you know, just skill, and IQ of football. I think those are our biggest problems. I honestly just feel like when I watch us play, I just feel like whether we play in a 4-back, a 3-back, a 5-back, a 6-back, a 2-back, I don't even think it'll make much of a difference. I literally think the issues that we are seeing with the bad results and the bad performances has to do with the other stuff. I don't even think it has anything to do with the formation. I really don't. I don't think it would make much of a difference. I don't. I don't think you would see much of an improved performance. I think there's other issues that we need to work and fix on. That would make the bigger difference in the squad. Richard says the players, with perhaps the exception of Ahmad, Delo, and Maz, should all be available to sell at the right price. Well, here's the thing. You know, I'm watching the game, and I say, why can't we have more players like Ahmad? He wasn't fantastic tonight, but he's one of the only players that he doesn't give up on plays. He makes sure that he does his job, I guess. I mean, there was a few instances where, you know, he's not playing wingback today. He's playing on the inside, one of the number 10s, and he's still coming back on defense, and he made like 2 or 3 important tackles. He got the ball off of Matoma. You know, and I'm looking at him and I'm like, why don't we have more players like him? You know, he wasn't exceptional today. He wasn't like, you know, he didn't give us an 8. But I was like, why don't we have more players that have that sort of attitude, mentality, and actual, like, I don't know what the word is, but they just like an impact. Why don't we have players that have this sort of impact and mentality like him? You know, Axe says, don't scapegoat Onana for horrible tactics and lack of attitude. I'm not scapegoating Onana for nothing. He made a very shitty and inexcusable mistake at 2-1, threw the game away at 3-1. He has led and has played a part in Manchester United losing today. Is Onana the sole reason to why we lost? No. But you cannot make the mistake that Andre Onana made today. What if the match was 2-2? What if we were winning 2-1 and he makes that same mistake? You just cannot make that mistake in any sort of way. I don't care what anybody says. And I'm not scapegoating him, because scapegoating him would say we lost the match because Andre Onana made the mistake. No, he is a part of the reason as to why we lost the match today. And it's not even that mistake. I think he could have done better on the other goal as well, but it ain't for him. It ain't about him. It's about a team performance that wasn't good today, and we were outclassed and outplayed and out-athleticized by Brighton at home again. But you know what? Again, this is the third time this has happened, so it's not, I don't want to hear nothing really about tactics. I don't want to hear nothing about Ruben Amorim, because it's not specific to Ruben Amorim when Brighton have beaten Manchester United 5 out of the 6 like last times they played us, and they've beaten us 3 times at Old Trafford, and he was only in charge 1 time. The only other team to beat us 3 times at Old Trafford was Manchester City. So it is a club identity issue and mentality issue, and it is a problem. And it's going to take some time to fix. Again, we're going to do player ratings, so don't worry about that. We'll get there. Richard's rightfully upset, would say, I would even let Bruno go. I would let Bruno go if we get a good offer. I'm not against Bruno going. If we get a good amount of money, and I know that that money is going to be reinvested into the squad, and used in a good way, in a smart way to get somebody, I would do it too. There's a ton of players that I would do that, but you know, it has to be the proper way. Chow View says, big up, all eyes on INEOS, no more managers out. And this is kind of where I'm going. You know, back our manager, please. You know, he needs some players. You're looking at 3 players going out on loan, no players coming in. You know, get some players for the manager, please. That are gonna help him. We need a left wing back. We probably need a winger, and probably a center mid somewhere for sure. We're not gonna get all of those, but you know, one of 3, 2 of 3, will be good. Would be great. Lion says United didn't play shit per se. They were just way too passive. Also, no attacking depth and killing them. The Rashford situation needs to be fixed. Well, you know what? I think we pressed decently at times. My one thing is that I think that we don't go forward enough. Still, again, I've been saying this. I said this under Eric Ten Hag multiple times. We still don't go forward enough. We still don't do enough when we get the ball. We still don't move the ball fast enough. We still don't attack fast enough. And with the intent that I think we need to be attacking to put the pressure on the opposition team. I think there was times during the game where we did well to press, we got the ball, and we didn't make it count by being quick and creating a chance. We took too long to create the chance, and allowed Brighton to settle, which made it more difficult for us to create a chance. And then more so or often, we ended up not creating a good chance. You know, I don't even know how many times Joshua Zirkzee, if any, did he have a chance today. And, you know, people want to come out and they want to talk about Rasmus Højlund isn't good enough. You know, it doesn't matter who we're putting there. We are not creating enough chances for anybody that's there. Even if you got Victor Gyökeres and put him there, we are not creating enough chances for him to have an impact on the game. So, again, the team aspect, not good enough. It needs to improve. It's gonna take time, and I'm gonna keep giving Ruben Amorim more time because, you know, I think at this moment in time, there's only so much he could do. There's only so much he could do, and he needs more time. And I'm not gonna be against Ruben Amorim for at least another 2 seasons. I give every manager. I have given every manager 3 seasons, at the very least. They need to get players in. They need to be given time to instill their identity and their philosophy. So, you know, I like Collier. I like when Collier comes in. I think Collier can be one that we can look to maybe grow into the team a little bit more. He has. I like his attitude. I like his strength. I like the mentality of like he's gonna get stuck in, kind of put a foot in on a player, make himself known, make himself a little bit of presence. We need a little bit more of that. There was an instance where Maguire stepped in front of the Brighton player. I want a little bit more of that from the team as a whole. There needs to be more of that. You know, that attitude they showed against Arsenal, where it was like a battle and we were being dickheads and it was like shithousery and we were, taking them out. We were fighting with them. We were shoving them. We need to be more like that in every match. We should be like that. We should have a mentality of being assholes. We should be a mentality of being kind of dickheads on the pitch. And I feel like today, or since that Arsenal match, we've been very soft. I think we were soft against Southampton. I think we were soft today. So, and I think that plays a part on the pitch. Let me grab the live player ratings. Let's do the live player ratings. We'll get those out of the way. We'll get to some quotes from Ruben Amorim. We'll get to some statistics that are floating around somewhere. We'll get to all that. Let's get the player ratings. Onana, he's getting a 3. Right off the bat. Chat, get involved. You do the player ratings as well. If you didn't smash the like button, there's 13 people here. We got 7 likes. I want to match the amount of viewers we have. So if you didn't hit the like button yet for me, hit the like button, please. And thank you. Greatly appreciated. It helps the channel get seen more. It helps us get pushed out. I know it's kind of a bunch of nonsense, but we appreciate it if you could do that for us. Andre Onana, I'm giving him a 3. Chat, get involved. Onana, Richard gives him a 0. Yes. That's fine. I mean, you could give him a 0. I mean, for me, that mistake is inexcusable. I wouldn't see that. I wouldn't see that mistake in a fucking under 14. So I don't understand. But again, it's the bigger issue of if it's not Delo like getting a red card, if it's not like Bruno having a shit game, if it's not like Delit making a mistake, if it's not like, somebody making a mistake. Maz was sleeping today on the numerous of occasions. If it's not one player, it's another player. And, Onana has a bad game. Next game, he'll have a good game. And the next game, it'll be somebody else that does something fucking stupid that leads to us conceding a bad goal. And we can't be having that. That has to be sorted out. That aspect of the team has to be sorted out, and that has to play in our mentality and our and our ability. That is a squad issue as a whole. Because for it to be consistently inconsistent within the players, where one player is making a mistake and then the next game is somebody else, that is a squad issue. So, Mateus Delit, 5, we conceded 3 goals. Harry Maguire, 5, we conceded 3 goals. I give Lenny a 5 as well. We conceded 3 goals. Maz, I give him a 4. He was sleeping, wasn't good today. Got beaten at that back post. Can't let that happen. It was a very good ball. And it was a good effort by the Brighton player to put it in, but you can't get beaten at the back post like that. Ugarte, 5. Menu, 5. 4. Ugarte, 4.5. Menu, 4.5. Both weren't good enough. Richard's just giving out straight 3s. Aventino's giving out a 6. Aventino says high school football may be mistake. I mean, yeah, when I played high school football, that's the sort of mistake. Not even in high school football, Aventino, to be quite honest. I'm telling you, you wouldn't see that mistake in an under 14s. You wouldn't see it. Below, I don't even know what to give him. 5. I think I'm just gonna give everybody under a 6. Ahmad, maybe a 5.5. He was probably one of our better players, but wasn't good enough. But we weren't good enough as a team. Again, I don't know how anybody expects Amad Diallo to keep carrying this team on his back. So the whole team was just, for me, the whole team today was a 4. As a group. As a group, they were a 4. They were just very poor. And again, we talked about this last episode. We talked about this Friday. We're gonna play matches. We're gonna get some decent results, some good performances, like we did against Liverpool, Arsenal. We're gonna play a match like we did against Southampton, where we didn't play very good. Somehow we got the win, and we're gonna play matches like we did today, where we got outplayed, we got beaten at home. It was a bad performance by the entire team as a whole, and we lose. And that's going to be the rest of the season. So there's no surprises. That's why I can't. There's no shouting. There's no screaming. I'm not surprised by this, but it's unacceptable and it has to be sorted out at some point. So, Bruno Fernandes, 5. Xerxes, I give him a 5.5 because I think he had a little bit more impact than other players. Anthony, I mean, this score is not going to make sense, but Anthony came on as a sub. I don't think he really had... I don't even remember him being on the pitch. To be honest, I stopped watching after about when we got to like the 80th minute. I started creating the show because I just knew that we were down 3-1. We didn't create nothing in the match. We didn't do anything, and the match was over. We weren't gonna come back. We weren't gonna, draw. We weren't gonna get it 3-3. We weren't even gonna get the second goal. That was clear and obvious. So the score is not going to make sense, but I don't even know what time Anthony came on the pitch, but I want to give him a 6 because I usually give the sub 6 for the time that they're on the pitch, but maybe a 5. Collier, I give him a 5.5. Alejandro, 5.5. Rasmus, 5.5, and Ruben Amorim, I'm going to give him a 4.5 today because we lost at home at Brighton. We weren't good enough. He tried to make some subs. Didn't happen. But we just were poor today. We were poor today, so and we lost 3-1 at Old Trafford. So, he can't get a good score. He can't get a good score. Nobody could get a good score today. Man of the match, I don't even know who to give it to. I don't even know. I don't even know who was our best player. I just feel like everybody was very poor. Probably Ahmad was probably our best player. And that's not even saying anything because he didn't even have a good performance. And it's not just him, like the whole team didn't have a good performance, but probably the one that played the best out of our team was Ahmad. And he got like a 5.5. So that pretty much just tells you everything. This team is gonna kill Ruben Amorim. You can see in Ruben Amorim, you can see the disappointment, and you can see like the lack of, you can see the disbelief in his face that like when he's there, he's like us, like he just can't believe what he's fucking watching on the sideline, like and the bigger talk has to go on INEOS now, because this is where INEOS has to come in, and they need to do something. They need to help this manager. They've put him in this position. Of course, he accepted it, but they've put him in this position. They've hired a new manager mid-season, and they're ignoring the January transfer window with impending departures. Amorim clearly needs a wing-back, and it needs reinforcements. And if they don't get this man reinforcements, then again, I will be looking over the manager's head again, because again, it will go above the manager, and it will go to the people in charge of this football club that need to be there doing their job, supporting the manager to the best of their ability. and the and creating an environment for a manager to actually succeed. How many times is INEOS and how many times have we gotten a news report or a statement that's coming out from the club, and how many times has Sir Jim Ratcliffe said that the environment at Manchester United for a manager to succeed hasn't been good enough in the past? It wasn't good enough for Erik ten Hag. It wasn't good enough for Solskjaer. It wasn't good enough for Mourinho. And it's not good enough for Ruben Amorim. So until you create this environment where a manager can actually flourish, we're going to keep suffering. And managers are going to keep struggling. So let's fix that aspect of the club. Because we need to. Lion says Xerxes played well today, though. He did, but because the team was poor, there was only so much he could do. I think he was one of our better players, but the team as a whole was very, very poor. So him getting a 5.5 isn't necessarily on him individually, more as it is a team aspect of there was just no chances created for him. There wasn't much for him to get involved because of the way we played. But he had some good footwork. He had some good touches on the ball. He had some good link-up play during the match. Him and Ahmad were probably our two best players, but that isn't saying much today. It's not saying much. Richard says, because he should have had a free kick, plus Dunk played him onside and he was judged offsides. Axe says, do you people really think that we would have been so bad had Erik ten Hag stayed? I don't know. It wasn't going well under Erik ten Hag either. So it could have gotten much worse. It could have sustained itself. There's no... You can't say one way or another. You really can't, because we weren't going well under Erik ten Hag either. I don't think there's much of a... I actually, right now, I don't think there's much of a difference. Besides the fact that we played better in the two big matches that we played, which was Liverpool and Arsenal. Besides those two matches against two big teams, a lot of the problems that were there under Erik ten Hag are still there. And I think the situation probably just got a little bit worse by bringing in this manager with a different identity and a play style in the midst of a season where we started off very poor, our worst start in Premier League history, and him playing 3 matches a week and not being able to get the training. Plus, it doesn't look like we're getting players in to help him. So, and let's get to some quotes from Ruben Amorim. But before we do, let me get Aventino said Xerxes pressed extremely well. I think there was moments where we pressed very good, and we put some pressure on them. We won the ball back in where we need to win the ball back, which is in their half. I think we need more of that. We didn't do enough of it. We need more of it. And then when we win the ball back, our biggest problem is we don't seize the chance. Like, we take too long to create an opportunity out of doing the proper job of pressing and winning the ball back in the Brighton half. So that's something that we need to figure out. Anthony came on at 84 minutes. Well, that makes me want to give him a 6. Because what impact are you going to have? What did he play? 6 plus 8, 14 minutes. So the substitutes, maybe I was a little bit harsh on them, but it is what it is. The team as a whole gets a 4 for me today. Lions says Xerxes was our best player. Lions also said the work the boy put in, particularly off the ball. Gray said, should we sell Welbeck? It's just not working out. Well, every time Welbeck plays against us, it seems like he did the right move going to Brighton and leaving us, because they've had more success in a certain aspect in the league than we've had in recent times. Axe says the aspect of our club won't be solved as long as the Glazers are at the club, and the rat is here to cut the spending for the Glazers. That is it. Open your eyes, people. Lion says, so the Glazers are just the Glazers, but Sir Jim Ratcliffe is the rat. Well, listen. You know, the Glazers are the ones that are the most responsible, and going forward, I think something that the Manchester United fan base needs to do is we need to somehow figure out how to separate blame for INEOS and blame for the Glazers, because again, I was thinking about the dynamic today, and INEOS, as far as we were told, is supposed to be in charge of the football aspect. So how is INEOS making financial decisions that have nothing to do with the football aspect? I don't understand the dynamic that is going on at our club. Are they actually in charge, or are they being blamed for it? Because we need to figure out, and we need to take away the shield that the Glazers have rightfully... I mean, many people stated that this was going to happen, and this is what is happening. INEOS is taking all of the blame for everything that is going on at the club, while the Glazers are the majority owners of the club, and they have more power and they have more say than INEOS do. So we need to unveil the curtains that are there, because right now the fan base is falling for the ploy that the Glazers have just disappeared and nobody talks about them, and it's all about INEOS, which is not correct. You know, there's blame for INEOS, but there has to be blame for the Glazers, and we need to start splitting that up, because we're walking a dangerous path where everybody is forgetting about the Glazers, and nobody's talking about the Glazers, and nobody's talking about the fact that the main reason where we are is because of them, and it's not because of INEOS. And INEOS are there trying to do a job for the football aspect, and they should be criticized accordingly. But we need clarification, and the media, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get any help, because the journalists keep putting out stories, and it's all about INEOS, which is leading to the fan base just blaming INEOS for everything that's going on in the club. And I find it harder to believe that INEOS have that much power and that much control with the percentage that they own of the club. It just doesn't make sense. So the fan base needs to switch on a little bit, and we need to try to do our best to try and split the blame, because it can't just be all INEOS. It's impossible. It's impossible. Grace says, Amorim's quotes, I should have never come to United. This team is shit. This club needs Southgate. Axe says, look how well INEOS' first season is going. I mean, it's not good, but when you have Glazers in charge for over 15 years and they've destroyed the football club, how do you want INEOS' first season to go swimmingly well? I think the transfer window they had in the summer was good. The season under them, in terms of the football, hasn't been good, but that's going to take time to sort out. You're not going to fix that in one season. You know, if anything, it would probably take 3 seasons reasonably to get some type of a balance. And even then, I still don't think that's enough time. You know. Richard says he is Spartacus. Axe says, at this point, I believe we are where we are because INEOS changed the head coach mid-season. What has INEOS rebuilt until now? I mean, not much. They had one transfer window. This is their second window. They still have time to do something in the window. I would advise them to act accordingly. And rightfully so, because they can. You know, the January window isn't closed yet, so we reserve final judgment for February 1st. But they better get a move on. They better get a move on. They better do something, because this manager needs it and this team needs it. So, yeah. Ruben Amorim saying, we tried to have possession, control the ball, but the players are anxious. No putting the ball between the lines. Always a touch. This is not acceptable. And Ruben Amorim also saying, another loss at home. It's not acceptable. the way we suffered the goals, we can play some football, but only in small spaces of time, so it's not consistent, and we get nervous, and then we suffer a goal. Which I think is accurate description of our team. We've said this many times before, and we've said it before Ruben Amorim was here as well, that we don't play 90 minutes of football. We play football in as he said, small spaces of time. It's not consistent, as he's pointed out, and he's saying we get nervous, which, you know, if we're getting nervous, he's alluding to that the mentality is not strong enough, which again is a problem that we've all pointed out prior to Ruben Amorim. So these problems that were here prior to Ruben Amorim are still here and still lingering. He needs to fix them, and he needs to sort them out, because that's part of his job, and he needs to do it if he's going to succeed. It's still going to take time to do that, but those are the things that he's going to have to do. We can't have this, you know, next season. These things need to get sorted out at some point. They absolutely do. They have to. Otherwise, he's going to get sacked. That's what it is. Like, let's just call it what it is. He has this job. His job is to figure this stuff out. I accept that it's still early in his reign, but at some point he's going to have to figure these things out. If he doesn't figure these things out, then he's going to get sacked, because we're not going to get the results and performances that we need. So, you know, Ruben says again in the beginning, it's one play that is clearly what Brighton do. Then it's really hard to turn things around. We get really anxious, really nervous, and they were better again. And he's not saying anything that we don't know already. These are all things that we've said. These are all things that we've spoken about. These are all things that we know have been a problem at Manchester United with him in charge and with prior to him being in charge. So, again, these problems are still here. Ruben Amorim on Andre Onana's mistake. He said, I think you felt it in the stadium, but we cannot end the game like that. Everybody is out of position, so we have to end the game in a different way. No matter the result, we have to be a different team in all aspects. And Ruben Amorim also saying Brighton were comfortable, which they were. We didn't make the game uncomfortable for them. We were the uncomfortable ones. That's not Ruben Amorim's quotes. That's me adding on to him. His quote is, Brighton were comfortable. We tried to get back into it, but with not very good football. You can see the game and remember Bournemouth and Nottingham Forest, where we were in the game and we suffer goals where we cannot suffer. Then it's really hard for everybody. We lost again at home. It's not acceptable. We need to change that and change it fast. So he's well aware of the issues, which is the smallest positive that you can take, because at least the manager is coming out and saying and calling it for what it is, which is what everybody can see and everybody knows. So, Jonathan Chong, that's my buddy, saying we couldn't beat Brighton either. I'm going to call him out a little bit here. He's going to probably get a little bit of abuse. Jonathan Chong, my buddy, that's an Arsenal fan. He's an Arsenal fan. But listen, Brighton, they weren't playing so good before, but we're not playing good either. But again, this is going to continue happening throughout the season. It's going to be very inconsistent, very up and down. At some point, we need to figure out. Grace, don't delete his messages. Chong says, stop, they are better team than you. No, but they are, because they're performing better than us in the league, so they are better than us at the moment. But in terms of Brighton, they haven't been performing that well. They had 4 draws in a row prior to their win on Thursday, so they weren't even in the best of form, and they came to Old Trafford and beat us 3-1. So that just tells you where our levels are at, which is very below the standard that we're trying to hold our team to. Well, that's why we are in the mess that we are in, because we just can't play. We just can't play. Grace, stop removing his messages, Grace. Let him speak. Let him speak. J Panda says, I will sell Mano right now. He is too slow. I think that's absurd, J Panda. I'm sorry about that, but no, I would not sell Kobe Mano. And I don't think Kobe Mano is the issue. He's been a little bit off of it this season compared to his last season, but again, we need more depth in that midfield. Yet again, you know, the way we started the match was pretty much almost the same team. We swapped, you know, Rasmus for Xerxes, and we took Lizandra out to play Maguire. And we put Delo back into the team and shifted Diallo up front. But in the midfield, yet again, it was Mano and Ugarte, and yet again, for 2 matches in a row, they weren't up to it, and they were decently poor. I don't know how many matches we're going to be able to continue to play Ugarte and Manu, and keep playing them. I think they're being overplayed, and they're suffering because of it, and we don't have the depth for it. So, yeah, I mean, even Chong is saying, you know, sell Mano, your fans are deluded. Well, I mean, some fans are deluded. Every fan base has deluded fans, so I don't know what to tell you about that. But, so, imagine you're only good mid and he wants to sell him. Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. That's absolutely crazy to me. I don't know. You know, selling Manu isn't going to solve anything. It's going to make us worse. You know, we have to build around players like Kobe Manu. He's young. He you know, he needs to improve. He's struggling, but everybody in the team is struggling. The whole team played as a forward today. So this is why I'm not trying to individualize it, because it's just a team. It's a shit team performance today. Nobody played good. Everybody was underperformed, and everybody was under par. You know, even for a player like Diallo, who has been our best player, he wasn't that great. Xerxes played good, but he wasn't that great. And Brighton played better as a whole, as a team, which is why they beat us. Because again, it's a team aspect. Football is a team game. And Brighton's team played better than our team as a whole, and therefore they beat us. And that's it. It's simple. It's real simple. Lion says, I'm very impressed with Beyond Carey. When the games are on MUTV, he's always the one who stands out. Very exciting. Well, maybe that's what we need. I mean, Collier seems like he's getting a bigger role little by little. He's being used more now. In the past couple matches, he's being brung in, and rightfully so, because again, we don't have the depth in the midfield. You know, Casemiro and Eriksen, I think these are 2 players that Ruben Amorim wants to move on. He doesn't want to use them. He doesn't think that they can help us, and therefore they're pretty much have become useless to us. And they both don't have the legs to play the way we need to play. Collier is young, and therefore he's a player that's being used. But that means that we then need to go get somebody else, because we can't just have Manu and Ugarte. And just Collier. Collier obviously is pushing for that spot, but he's not there yet either. And so we need more players. And maybe Ruben Amorim, against his against what he wants to do, maybe he has to call in 1 or 2 more of the youth prospects that we have, to give the team a little bit more hunger and a little bit more push and a little bit more legs. Because, you know, if he's not going to get the help that he needs in the January transfer window, then the only other way he can get this help is to look to the youth team and call up a couple players and fill some of the positions in the squad and maybe get something out of that. But it's a big ask. So, Lion says, I'm very impressed with... I already did that. Grace says, Eric, why are you friends with an Arsenal fan? Drunk, a bet, an accident. He says it's an accident, fam. I'm friends with many different types of people. Listen, all types of fans. I'm friends with multiple Arsenal fans. I'm friends with a couple Liverpool fans. I'm friends with the Chelsea fan. listen, I'm just friends with them. They watch football. They like the teams that they like. It is what it is. But it makes for an interesting dynamic. You know what I mean? It makes for an interesting dynamic. But I'm friends with them first, and they like football, and then they tell me the team they like, and we have banter between each other, but I don't hold it against them. They're good people. They're good people in life in general. So it's not like they're bad people or they're assholes. They're just fans of a different football club. It is what it is. But I like it because it adds to the banter and it adds to the excitement and it adds to the discussion. And I like to have discussions. So, Axe says, I am the deluded one. I am out of my mind. No, I don't think you are. I think I think you just have a different set of opinion and an outlook than other people, and that's all that is. Axe you don't say things that are deluded. You don't. You say things. You focus on things that other people don't look at and talk about, and you focus more on those things than other people. But when you make your points, you make points that have some type of content to it. You don't just say random shit like selling Kobe Mainu. Chong says Garnizzi for 70 million. Listen, again, if he's valued at 40 million and we don't want to sell him, right? And somebody wants him, pay the money. If not, don't pay the money. He's a young guy who has a good potential and he can grow into a good player. He's struggling right now. Everybody in our team is struggling right now for the most part, barring, maybe 3 players, 4 players out of a squad, out of a starting 11 that's, not even half the players, and out of a squad of 22, we don't have that many players that are hitting the heights that they should be. So, again, Lion says United are getting squat in the January window. Well, it's just trash. Grace says, don't worry, Eric, my best friend from school was a twat Arsenal fan, and I moved up the other end of the country. You moved all the way to the other end of the country just to get away from him. It's a bit extreme, Grace. Okay. Any other quotes that we got? Let's see what we got. Bruno Fernandes said, we lacked the courage and conviction to turn the result around. We did it against Southampton. Yeah, kind of in a way, but not really. And we should have done it today. At least believe a little more and have a little more courage. Well, I just don't think you guys played very good. I don't even know if it was a lack of courage. Maybe it was. The captain saying that. So, Bruno says, I don't think it's as comfortable for them, but we lacked braveness and a bit of belief on turning the result on our side again. We did it against Southampton with 8 or 10 minutes to go. We should have done it today at least. Believe a little bit more and have a bit more braveness and not tire ourselves out, not tire ourselves from the responsibility. Ruben Amorim, probably the biggest headline Ruben Amorim can make. Simple, short quote, said everybody here is underperforming. And I think that's all you need to really say. And that's all you can really say. Everybody is underperforming. Nobody is playing to the level that they should be playing, to the level that they're being paid to. Everybody is underperforming. So, it is what it is. Chong says, where was Diallo? I didn't watch the game. He should have been confident after his Hattie. Well, the thing was, Chong, was just that the whole team just didn't play. They just didn't play good as a whole. So, you want Amad Diallo to be confident and play well, and you didn't watch the match. So, like, I know what you're trying to say, but I just don't see how Amad Diallo, because he scored a hat-trick and he's going to be confident. What is he going to do when he has 10 other players on the pitch that are his teammates that are supposed to help him, and they're all underperforming, playing like shit? Amad Diallo is a good player. He's been our player of the season, and he's helped us the most. But He's not Ronaldo. He's not Messi. No, he's not going to pick up the ball every match and win you 3 points by himself. When the team is playing like shit. There's not many players that can do that at all. So, you know, this is what I'm saying. Like, Xerxes had a decent match, and Ahmad had a decent match, but it's 2 players out of 11 players on the pitch. You're not going to be able to carry the weight of the rest of your team playing like shit. It's just not possible. So, team aspect, again, is the biggest issue that we have. Ray says, everyone sell the stars and keep the young and start over again. And Ray says, the fish stink from the head, not from the date. Blame the star players. Lion says, so open heart surgery is what needed. Where have we heard that before? Ralph Rangnick, you know, and now fans are fighting amongst each other because they're saying we gave Ten Hag 600 million and we bring in 15 players. So what, if that's not open heart surgery, then what is? But yet again, I would say it's not the proper open heart surgery. You spent 600 million on 15 players, but the recruitment was bad yet again. Until you get the recruitment correct, and you get the correct aspect of players, and you actually build a team. Again, look at Nottingham Forest. I will say this again. Nottingham Forest don't have stars. They don't have world-class players. They don't have them. They have a team, though. They have a group of players that complement the system and complement each other, and they perform well. And they're performing very well. We don't have that aspect. We have a group of players that don't complement each other very well. They're all underperforming, and some of them just simply aren't good enough. Either they don't have the ability, they don't have the attitude, or they don't have the mentality. It is a combination of all 3. It's different for each player, but it exists within the squad dynamic. Until you fix that, we're not going to go anywhere. You can get whatever manager you want. They'll paper over the cracks, because that's what it is, because that is the core issue of the squad. And they might get some results in the short term, but in the longer term, it'll fall apart like it has done every single time, because we have never properly addressed this. You got 15 players or whatever it was for Ten Hag. You spent 600 million. The recruitment was bad. You signed players like Anthony for 80 million. That's bad recruitment. That's piss poor recruitment. You signed a player like Mason Mount, who has become injury prone, and we paid 50 million. That's bad recruitment. We can't be doing that. So until you fix it, which I think INEOS have done an alright job in their first summer transfer window, and the players that they've got in, I think 4 out of 5 of them have been good. Xerxes has turned up a little bit in the past couple games. Maybe he's coming good. But the other players, not bad. Not bad prices, not bad signings. Ugarte has been good other than the past 2 matches. He's dipped off a little bit, but he was growing into the shirt. So we need another transfer window like we did in the summer. But we need to do something in the January transfer window. So, the banter going on between Grace and Chong. Axe is back. He said it to clean the dishes. Chong says they have Alenga, left some shit team for a better one. Listen, but Alenga ain't a star player, Chong. He's playing good, but what's he got? Like 2-3 goals? He's got like 2-3 goals in the season, maybe like 2-3 assists. He's not balling out. He's playing good for Nottingham Forest, for a team that nobody expected them to be in the position that they're in. But again, that's just a team aspect. Their team is playing well. Their team plays well together. It's not one play. It's not like they have 1 or 2 players that are absolutely world class and bowlers. I don't consider anybody on their team to be world class or bowlers, but they play together as a unit. We are dysfunctional as a unit. Therefore, this is why we suffer results and we play the way we play. And until we figure that aspect out, we're going to keep suffering. So it is what it is. RSV is here. I'm going to read out his comment because for whatever reason, YouTube likes to take away his comments. So I'm going to read it out before YouTube takes it away. But RSV says, part of me is glad that the team is losing because it exposes how bad these players are. In hindsight, if Amorim won today and against Bournemouth, Newcastle, etc., that would have papered over the cracks. And in a way, you are right, because there's nowhere really to hide in this moment in time. There's nowhere to hide. There's nowhere to hide for the players. There's nowhere really to hide for anybody. There's nowhere to hide for Ruben Amorim, although I would say that he's not trying to hide. He's coming out and he's telling you exactly what it is, what he's seeing, what we're seeing. He says the same things that we say and that we see. So he's, in my opinion, our manager isn't trying to hide. He's acknowledging the problems. He understands the problems. He's trying to fix it. But again, it's a big ask for one man to do it. And you need the club to do club things and act as a club and do the proper things, which is going to take some time. But they have to get it right along the way. And one of the things is, if we don't get a player, even one player, if we don't even get like a left wing back or a center mid or something, a striker, whoever, a winger, somebody, if we don't get one player in the January transfer window, that is a failure on INEOS. That is a failure on the people above Ruben Amorim. And that is a failure by the club to create an environment for the managers to succeed. So if we hit that point, then we got to start focusing more on that, because now you've laid another problem onto the manager other than the problems that he already has here. But they are being exposed. My hope is that the people in charge, INEOS, are looking at this and they are realizing that one of the reasons why they sacked Ten Hag is that, as Ruben Amorim said, everybody is underperforming. They figured if you change the manager will be able to get some of these underperforming players to perform. I think hopefully it opens their eyes to that these underperforming players are underperforming simply because they are just not good enough for what Manchester United needs, and therefore we need to change these players. And that's what it is. And Ray says, Eric, we need a miracle. We need time. We need time, and we need time, and we need to do the proper job as a football club. I always use Arsenal as an example because I think they did the proper thing for their football club when they had very shit players. Arteta took them over. Arteta came in, he played his style of football, and they removed the players in a few seasons, in 3 seasons. They removed underperforming players, they removed players that just simply weren't good enough, they removed players that had attitude problems, or, just didn't do their job on the pitch. And I always still feel like we need to do that aspect. We need to do that aspect as a football club. And then we can see where we are at with the manager. But I feel like if we don't do that aspect, whoever we get in as a manager, it's not going to sustain itself at some point. Whether it's in the beginning, it's in the middle, or it's at the end. At some point, it'll fall apart. So we need time, and we need to do our job as a football club and do the correct things. For sure. Acts as the hierarchy of problems, Glazers, INEOS, and Amorim being unsuitable for this squad. But the squad, but see, where I disagree with you, Axe, is that the squad has been shit. The squad hasn't really achieved anything. The squad hasn't been good enough for numerous amounts of seasons. They had one good season under Erik ten Hag, and that was it. Prior to Erik ten Hag, they were shit. After that one season under Erik ten Hag, they were shit. So I'm looking to dismantle the squad. I'm not looking to throw Ruben Amorim under the bus and make him the main problem and say he's got to go, or he needs to be sacked, or he's unsuitable, or he's not good enough, or, he's not good enough for the Premier League. Why? He's only been here for a couple months. We have players that are here that have been here for far too long that aren't good enough. We have players here that probably we shouldn't have bring them in the first place. RSV says, we all saw what happened after 22-23 when the same players were given contracts. Well, that's another thing that goes on top of the board. I mean, there were certain players Why did they get those contracts? Why did they continue to stay at the club? Why weren't they shipped out? Why weren't they changed? Ray says, I think we should change the manager at the end of the season. We keep trying the same thing and nothing be fixed. We can't change the manager at the end of the season. That's absolutely ludicrous. We need to change the players. We need to change the players. You know, so even Chong is saying give him a chance. I'm giving him a chance. And most of our fans, Chong, the majority of our fans are not talking about Ruben Amorim. There's a small sliver of people that don't think that Ruben Amorim is good enough right off the bat. And there's people that they don't like him. They don't like his style. They don't think it's going to work. They're allowed to hold that opinion, but they're the minority. The majority are not looking at the manager right now. The majority are looking at the group of players we have, and they're looking at our hierarchy, which is, I think, what we need to be focused on. So, Ray says there's no intensity to our game. We played the ball sideways and backwards. Yeah, but, you know, our manager is saying things like, we are nervous on the ball. We take too long on the ball. So he clearly is acknowledging those problems. He knows they are problems. He's trying to sort them out. But again, you know, the players either don't have the mentality, the attitude, or the characteristics to come out of that and play in the way that the manager is saying. I mean, if you look at Manchester City, for the first time in how many years and how many seasons, they're having a horrible season. They're in a crisis. They go out and they spend 200 million. There's nobody that really has that luxury. You're not seeing any other team in the Premier League going out and spending 200 million. Even in Arsenal, who is there and about, and you would say they need a striker, and it doesn't look like that they're going to go spend, 60, 70, 80 million on a striker. Like, nobody has that sort of luxury. We're in a worse financial position. We're in fucking 13th place. We need to spend to improve the squad, and we can't spend, so we can't help the manager. So what, if you can't give the tools to the manager to create an environment for him to succeed, why should we be talking about sacking Ruben Amorim? Because at that point, for me, if you sack Ruben Amorim, then for me, it's just done. Like, for me, I just don't give a shit anymore. Because it doesn't make sense. We're going to keep going around in the same merry-go-round. Get the recruitment right. Get the people above the manager to do their fucking job. And do what they're supposed to do. And act like a proper football club. And get shit in order. And create an environment for the manager to do his job properly. And get these players out that need to go. We need to change the personnel at our football club. We play shit on the pitch. We have players that play on the pitch week in and week out that aren't good enough because they are not the correct personnel. We need better personnel. Who would be best fitted as United manager then, not including Southgate? There's nobody. There's nobody. We could get anybody as a manager. They're not going to do shit with this group of players until you transform the squad. There's nobody. There is nobody. Even if you go get Pep Guardiola, he will suffer, as you're seeing, as he does as Manchester City. What are they doing right now? Their squad is in disarray. Their squad needs to be rebuilt. And he's going out and spending 200 million to get in new players to rebuff the squad and make them better. If he comes to United right now, he will fail in the same way Ruben Amorim is failing. He will not transform mediocre players into fantastic players. He's never done it. He's never done it at any club. He needs the checkbook. You need the checkbook because you need the correct profile of player at the club. So, Guardiola, Ancelotti, Alonso, and Nagelsmann, none of them are going to succeed if you don't do what the club is required to do and provide the manager an environment to succeed. Any one of those people come in, they will fail because the environment for the manager is not correct. So you can bring in anybody. They will fail. They will fail. They might have a good start. It'll fall apart in the middle if you don't do what you're supposed to do. They might have a shit start. Pick it up in the middle. It'll fall apart at the end because the club didn't do what they were supposed to do. Get the correct personnel into Manchester United. We have a few players with the correct attitude, mentality, and a mix of skill. We don't have a squad full of it. And until you get a squad full of it, we are not going to go anywhere. It's as simple as that. And Ray says, yes, Richard, we keep changing managers and buying players and nothing changes. But this is the job that INEOS must do. INEOS came in and they stated that they are going to create a game model and an identity regardless of the manager. So I think they started that in the summer because Ruben Amorim is using the likes of De Ligt. He's using Ugarte. He's using Euro, right? He's using these players. He can use them. They're good enough to be used. We need more of that, but we need more time. Because we need to get to the windows, and then they need to do their job. So, Axe says our players are fantastic individually. The manager can't motivate them. I'm not having that. I'm not having that at all. I'm not having that at all. They're not fantastic individually. They're not. They're not. And if they are fantastic individually, newsflash, football is not an individual game. Football is a team sport. So even if they are fantastic individually, they are shit as a team together. They don't go together. They don't complement each other's qualities as a whole, as a team. As players playing on the pitch together as teammates, they do not complement each other. Because this team is not put together well. It's also not put together to play on the front foot attacking football. It is played to play sit-back, counter-attack football for the most part. So we need time to change the squad. And until we get that, we're going to keep suffering. So we need to keep going the way we're going. Get as many players as possible to perform as good in the system and up their form. And whoever can't do it from now till the end of the season, you need to be looked at and you need to be removed. If that's a Garnacho, if that's a Erasmus, if that's a Xerxes, if that's a whoever it is, if they can't perform from now till the end of the season at some point, if they can't find their feet, then when we get to the summer, you got to look at what individuals are clearly underperforming, and you got to do the Omar Barada move, where you get 1 to 2 seasons to perform, and if you're not performing, you get moved on. And it's as simple as that. Ray says, we don't have a checkbook. We have the Glazers. We are broke. It looks like the Young are missing. They are playing like crap. Ray says, the problem is fans want everything now, but we can't even sell one player, and that needs to be sold. So how are we going to buy new players? We sell Garnacho and buy a 10, but we still be short there. Well, that is one of the aspects of the problems. But and this is what I'm saying, Grace. This is my main focus, because how does that problem, and to me that's a big problem, Grace. It's a huge problem. It's one of the biggest problems we have. It is one of the biggest main problems that Manchester United has that is leading to failures on the pitch. How does that go on the manager in any way? Because to me, it doesn't. It has nothing to do with the manager in any way. So why am I going to look at the manager when that problem is hugely more monumental than anything that has to do with the manager playing a 3-back or his tactics or his lack of motivation, which I don't believe, because I think this group of players couldn't be motivated by Jesus himself. Because they just don't have it. It's not part of them as individuals. So I don't think that anybody can come in and do the job that is required until we provide the tools and the environment for the manager to do so. And in my opinion, he still don't have it. Ten Hag didn't have it. Solskjaer didn't have it. And Mourinho didn't have it. And Amorim doesn't have it right now. So until they sort that out, I'm not having anything about a manager. I'm not sacking a manager. I'm not being manager out. Sort the other problems out. and I'll look at the manager. Otherwise, you know what? If we want to do extremes, I'm just going to ignore everything about the manager going forward because I'm tired of it. I really am tired of it. Let's bring Rashford back and make him play well again. It will never happen because Marcus Rashford cannot play well again at Manchester United. It's on him and it's part of the club. So let's sell Rashford. How about that? Let's sell Rashford. Let's get rid of Rashford and let's get a player that has an attitude and a mentality and a skill set like Amad Diallo, and let's put him out there on that wing, and let's put him on the other side. And we'll have two players like a Diallo and somebody else on the other side, and that way we'll have what we need. Because that's what we need. We don't need to bring Rashford back and try and work with him. That ship has sailed. He's failed. It's over. What we need is to remove Marcus Rashford and bring in a player that has an attitude and a mentality and a skill set like Amad Diallo. And we need more players in more positions like Amad Diallo. That's what we need. Nobody will buy Rashford. I don't care if nobody will buy Rashford. That's not true. There are 3 teams that want Marcus Rashford. They want him on loan. Loan him out. Let him play in another league. Let him get some goals. Let him get some hype about him somewhere else. Get him out. He's not playing. He's not involved in the squad. He doesn't want to be here. Loan him out. Send him to Borussia Dortmund. Send him to West Ham. Send him to Barcelona. I don't really give a shit. Send him out. Loan him out. Try to make a deal for, you know, guaranteed, a guaranteed, fee at the end of the loan. If you can't get that, loan him. Loan him, let him play, and we sell him in the summer. But he is useless to us at this moment in time. He's got to go. Casemiro's got to go. Eriksen's got to go. Lindelof's got to go. There's numerous amounts of players. There's talks about Malacia being loaned out. You know, we need a left wing back. Get somebody in. Get somebody in and get somebody there. You will see that nobody will buy Rashford because Rashford won't take a pay cut. Rashford has already stated that he wants to take a pay cut, Axe. He said he will take a pay cut for Barcelona. The problem with Barcelona is that Barcelona must sell a player because Barcelona have financial problems. If Barcelona didn't have financial problems, Barcelona would have put in a bid for Marcus Rashford already, and Rashford is willing to take a pay cut because Barcelona is his number one destination. But as the clock ticks down, I think Marcus Rashford will be willing to accept the loan to Borussia Dortmund or to a West Ham to play football because he needs to play. He's well aware that he needs to play. He needs to play to get back into England. He needs to play to get a move. And I don't think he's going to play at Manchester United. And I don't think he's putting in the work or the effort to play at Manchester United. Yes, Barcelona have financial issues. They're struggling to register players. Marcus Rashford, he wants to desperately go to Barcelona, but Barcelona have financial issues. So if Barcelona can get rid of a player to open up some wages for themselves, some money, then they can put in a proper they can put in a proper bid in terms of a loan or something for Marcus Rashford so they could take on at least part of his wages and they can register him. They have a problem where they may lose Danny Olmo because they can't even register him. So they need to move somebody on. They need to sell somebody on to go there. I think part of the problem with Marcus Rashford not going is that he desperately wants to go to Barcelona. He's holding back on making a decision on going to Dortmund, or there's some interest from West Ham, right? Because he's waiting for Barca to see if Barca can figure out their end. I'm sure his contacts that he's had with Barcelona, they've probably told him, give us some time. We're trying to figure it out. We're serious. We want you here. You got to give us some time to try and figure this out. So I think Rashford is kind of sitting back right now, just waiting to see if Barcelona can sort their problems out. But I think as we get closer to the end of the window, if Barcelona don't sort their problems out and it doesn't look like it's going to happen from their end, then he will accept going to his second or third choice, which will be a Borussia Dortmund, who already put in a bid for Marcus Rashford, or West Ham have apparently shown interest, according to, I think yesterday it came out, saying that that West Ham are interested in Marcus Rashford. So, Ruben Amorim actually has just spoken about Rashford out and said, here's the quote that you want. He said, Ruben Amorim, 39 seconds ago from Fabrizio Romano, has just said, no matter what, I am not going to put a player I do not believe is the best for the team. Marcus is out of this moment because he is not playing. So, straight from the manager's mouth, he is saying Marcus Rashford is not performing. He is not playing in training. He doesn't have the correct attitude. He's not doing the things he's supposed to be doing. And he essentially said he wants to leave. Therefore, he is not going to be involved in my matchday squads. I have no problem with that. No problem with that in any way. We've all seen that there's been problems with Marcus Rashford through every manager that he's had. I'm inclined to believe Ruben Amorim. I'm not inclined to take Marcus Rashford's side because he's had multiple opportunities with multiple managers. So, again, best for the scenario, for Marcus and for the club, go somewhere else so we could get somebody else in and you can go play football and you can revive your career. Amorim saying, in 10 Premier League games, we've won 2. I know that. Imagine what that does to a Man United fan. Imagine what it does to me. A new manager who loses more than the previous one. I know that perfectly. I won't change no matter what. I know we can succeed, but we have to survive this period. And that's really what it's all about, because the problems, again, there's problems that Amorim has to tackle and Amorim has to sort, and that has to do with the players, the mentality, the attitude, the tactics, etc., etc. But the other problems are above Ruben Amorim, and what he has to do is try and survive this period to get to the periods where the club and the people above him can do their job and get in the personnel that we need to get in and change the personnel that we have right now. But you're not going to get there if you can't survive this period. So he's well aware that we need results. We need results, and we need to get performances out of this group of players, because unfortunately he's stuck with them and they're stuck with him in this moment in time. So we're going to have to work together to try and figure this shit out until we could get to a place where we could actually do transfer business. We're in one right now. It's unacceptable that Manchester United doesn't look like they're going to do transfer business in January when we desperately need it. But again, that falls on the people in charge of our club and the people that own our club and not the manager. We need to kick the Glazers out, Axe Lord says. I agree, but it's not going to happen, Axe. Unfortunately, it's not. It's not. We haven't succeeded in doing so. It's not. The only way the Glazers go is if we don't fix the problems that Manchester United currently have and we continue to operate the way we operate. But what's going to happen in that time, Axe, is we're going to sack Amorim, we'll bring in another manager, we'll sack him, we'll bring in another manager, we'll sack him, because they won't be able to compete. So what will have to happen is we hit a period where Manchester United doesn't even get into the top 6 anymore on a consistent basis. We finish anywhere from 7th down multiple seasons in a row. We lose the European money completely. We start going completely in reverse, and things start looking very bad, where we're finishing 12th multiple seasons, stuff like that. And maybe then, and maybe only then, maybe the Glazers will go, because the only way the Glazers are going to go is on their own accord and when they stop making money. So I agree. We need the Glazers to go out. If the Glazers go out, we have a very good chance of the football club turning around. But the fans aren't going to get it done because we haven't gotten it done. We're not going to come together. We're not going to be able to make a successful push for what we need for the large amount of fan base that we have around the world. So it's not going to happen on our own accord. It's going to happen from the failings of Manchester United, or it's going to happen by a miracle, like Ray said, where a Qatar comes in and offers them $7 billion for the club, which I don't see likely it's happening. So what we need is INEOS to actually not be a bunch of assholes and a bunch of bastards and not be the bad guys and do a good job and actually do the proper job that they need, because they're our only chance. Otherwise, we're going to have to go through another 3 or 4 managers, fall completely out of the top 6, finish outside of Europe, just get completely obliterated financially, become an official certified mid-table team permanently, and once the financials start going completely down the drain, then the Glazers will go. So, there's a whole path to that. That's going to take a numerous amounts of years. I wouldn't see the Glazers going for the next 3 to 5 years. For sure. At the very least. I mean, yes. You're not wrong, Axe. I'm not going to repeat it, but you're not wrong. In a way. You're not wrong. Amorim says it's unacceptable to lose so many games for any Premier League club, so imagine Manchester United. It's a difficult moment, but we have to keep going. I mean, I don't know what else he's supposed to say. You know what I mean? What else is he supposed to say? He said the opponents are better than us in many ways. It's a difficult moment. We're breaking all the bad records. Our performances are really insufficient. I mean, our performances are just dog shit. They just are. But for me, the biggest quote probably today is Ruben Amorim and Marcus Rashford. So, and he's laid it all out there for it to be what it is. So, yeah, where do we go from here? Listen, we got a match now. Let's talk about what's coming up, I guess, because that's all we can really do. I mean, just to put it in perspective, what is that? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Out of the last 10 matches, our form goes as we have 3 wins, 2 draws, and 5 losses. We have beaten I don't even know what team that was. That team in the Europa League, the small team. We beat them. We beat City. We lost to Tottenham. We lost to Bournemouth. We lost to Wolves. We lost to Newcastle. We tied Liverpool. We tied Arsenal. Beat them on pens, and advanced in the cup. And we beat Southampton after a shit performance, and we turned up in the last 10 minutes, and Amad Diallo scored a hat-trick, and we've lost to Brighton today. So, we have to play Rangers on Thursday. We're home once again. Not that seems to matter. In the Europa League, we have a good record at the very least. We have... In our last 5 matches in the Europa League, we have 2 draws, 3 wins. We're on a 3-win streak in the Europa League. In the Europa League, Rangers have 1 loss, 2 wins, and 2 draws in the last 5 matches. So we're been in the better form team in the Europa League. And we're going to have to get a result, because we want to be in the top 8 so we can avoid playing 2 extra matches in the playoffs. That's going to help us massively. And it'll be a good confidence booster for the squad. So it's going to be a big match against Rangers. We're going to need to turn around and turn up the performance. And it's difficult for the fans because you could kind of feel the flatness in Old Trafford. You could feel the flatness in the crowd, and I understand why, because the team and the players aren't giving us much confidence. We don't feel confident. You could feel it in the air. I'm not in Old Trafford, but I could feel it in the air off of my TV. You could feel kind of the atmosphere is flat. You could feel there's a lack of belief in the squad, and rightfully so, because they're not showing us things to be, confident about. And as Lion says, Rangers is going to be tough. It is going to be tough, but apparently when we play these sort of tougher matches, we somehow decide to perform and play football. So I don't know. It is going to be tough because we're 7th, they're 8th, they're 1 point behind us. We need to win this match. It's a must-win match, another must-win match. Today was a must-win match, and we failed that test, and we failed today. We have another opportunity to go again on Thursday. Let's see what they do. We need to turn things around. We need a response. We need a strong response. So it is what it is. Axe says, I was so hopeless watching the match today. I believe that the fans showed on TV they felt the same way. Well, there was that sense of hopelessness because you just never felt like we were going to do something. I mean, we scored the goal from the penalty. What chances did we create today? I think we had one shot on target in 70 minutes. So how are you going to win a match when you have one shot on target in 70 minutes? And let me just pull up some stats. I'll get Statman Dave since he is the stat man. Because I'm sure he has some stats. And our form has been extremely horrible. Manchester United have lost 6 out of 11 Premier League games under Ruben Amorim since he took the job. Only Southampton, Leicester, and Spurs have lost more. And Spurs are under us, and Southampton are at the bottom of the league, and Leicester look like they might get relegated, and Brood is struggling there as well. In a really rough start to life in Manchester. My only hope, and this is purely off of hope, there's no there's nothing really like concrete to put this back to at this moment in time. But my only hope is the fact that he's come in and he's struggled in the beginning and it's been really rough in the beginning. So maybe later down the line, and not even just this season, but like going into next season, maybe things will improve and it'll go the opposite way. Because I feel like usually what happens is, like Solskjaer takes over as caretaker, we go on an amazing run, they give him the contract, then it starts falling down, then there's issues, there's problems and stuff like that. Ten Hag takes over the team. He has a very good first season, amazing season. After that, struggles. It starts falling apart. There's holes in the whole thing, and it collapses. The same thing kind of for Jose. He ended up finishing second, won the Europa League. Then it all went to shit. So in the past, we've had better starts than we've had under Ruben Amorim. We've had stronger starts, and then it all falters away and crashes and burns. Right now, under Amorim, it's been very difficult. It's been a very poor start. It's been very rough, and it's been very lackluster. My hope is that it goes in reverse, and that it actually turns around and it starts upticking, as we go further on. But right now, it's very bad. And this is obviously unsustainable for him and for the club. So that has to be sorted out. Andre Onana, statistics put out by Statman Dave, 52% pass accuracy, which is horrible. 27% long pass accuracy, which is horrible. Conceded 3 goals, had 1 error leading to a goal, and had 0 saves tonight. And he wrote 1 to forget for Man United's goalkeeper, and that's definitely true as well. Amad Diallo won 2 out of 3 tackles in the first half against Brighton. Manuel Ugarte was the only player on the pitch who won more, which was 3. And this is what I'm saying, like, about Amad. Like, he's playing number 10 behind the striker. He's playing one of the number 10s, and he's making an impact in the defensive work because of his work rate, his attitude, and his mentality. And we need more of that. Plus, he has the legs. And plus, he's confident. He's confident in himself. He's confident in his ability because he's been performing well. But we need more of that across the board, across the whole team. So, Axe says, I don't believe he can turn things around. I really don't. He couldn't beat Ipswich after 2 days. I think I don't think he's necessarily going to turn things around this season. I don't think it's going to happen this season because I think this season started off doomed to fail. It started with Ten Hag, and it started off bad, and it started off as our worst start, and we changed the manager, and it's continued. So we've had no bounce under a new manager, which highlights issues bigger than just the manager. And I'm not really looking for him to necessarily turn it around per se in this season. I think he needs to survive this period as good as possible. I think we're going to suffer defeats, but I think he's got to try and get as many wins as possible. And he's got to make it to the end of the season. And then we got to go in the summer window, and we got to do things that we got to do in the summer window to reinforce the squad and give him proper tools. What I'm looking for is some type of growth and development in the squad to the end of the season. there has to be areas where the players have to improve, grow, and I'm willing to give the period of now till the last game of the season for that development. Somewhere those areas have to improve in some form, in some aspect, while he kind of essentially just keeps the ship kind of afloat. Like, the ship is taking on water right now. We're not like fucked 100%, or he's not fucked, but if he's not careful, it'll be overwhelmed with water. So he's got to try and navigate that till we get to the end of the season. That's, for me, that's how I'm viewing it. And then obviously we have the Europa League and we have the FA Cup. Try to go as far as possible into those. Win the FA Cup or win the Europa League. Makes everything much, much better in terms of the season. Obviously the league position is not going to be a good finish. It's not. It's not. We're not going to get into the top 6. So it's going to be anywhere from 7 down. And it probably looks like anywhere from 8th to 12th is where we're going to finish. So, let's say we will finish below 10th and keep him after the summer. The pressure on him will be huge like never before. This period until the end of the season will weigh a lot. Well, the pressure will be on him but it should the pressure on him next season should be there, because when we go into next season, he's getting a preseason and he's getting a summer transfer window. So we shouldn't end up in the position that we're in now. That we shouldn't start next season, or we shouldn't be in a position next season the way we started this season or the way this season's going. That is just a must. It's a given. He gets that preseason, even if we finish 10th, we finish 12th, whatever it is, right? We're going to let that go for this season. You're going to get a preseason and you're going to get a transfer window. As Manchester United manager, I think everybody will expect that you cannot start the way we started this season. You cannot perform the way we performed this season. We are going to ask for improved performances, and rightfully so, because that amount of time will pass and he'll have much more time. You're talking about months from now until then. So that is the time that I'm agreeing that he needs, and then there should be improvements. And then that's when we can start judging him a little bit more harsher. Because the time has passed and he's had more time, and he's had time to figure things out, and he's had time to work with the players, and he's gotten a proper preseason, and he's gotten a transfer window in the summer where you could do proper business. So for me, that's where I'm looking at right now. I understand your concerns, Axe. I understand if you identify and you think that, he's not good enough, his tactics aren't good enough, and that's fine. But I'm not focused on that really right now. I'm focused on the other areas, and then when we get to next season, it's a new slate. I expect, here's the thing, and I'm going to say it now. When we get to next season, number one, I expect obviously transfer business being done. I expect, and what is needed is another transfer window, a summer transfer window like the summer transfer window we just had. We need another one like those with good deals for good prices and good players, and a good profile of player. Ruben Amorim is going to get a preseason. I expect the team to come out looking sharp and strong at the start of the season. If we play the first 4 matches and we look like we didn't have a preseason, I'm going to be concerned. If we start the season and we lose the first 2 matches out of 4, I'm going to be concerned in terms of, from the manager aspect, saying, well, what's going on here? We should be a lot further along. I understand there's problems in the squad and, problems that go above your head and what you're in charge of, but there are certain aspects that we need to get a hold of. I think right now, I understand the concerns, but at the same time, I can see, just like how Ten Hag, and I gave Ten Hag, and we gave Ten Hag the benefit of the doubt, in the second season where he had all the injuries. There were people concerned about Ten Hag's management, the system that he has, what he was doing, what he was picking, the rotation of players. They all said that. We were looking at the injuries and the number of injuries that he's sustained, and we gave him the benefit of the doubt and said, well, listen, the squad was decimated by injuries. We can't blame him for all that. It was a mess, and let's give him another season. The disappointment came with him because we're like, listen, you almost lost your job. The pressure was there. We expected the team to start on a stronger foot. They didn't. They started very poor, and he lost all the support. The same thing can happen again, in that right now, I think people are looking at the situation. I'm looking at the situation like Ruben Amorim has come in to a team that was already underperforming and had their worst start in a Premier League era for the club, has come in, is playing 3 matches a week, can't get the training he needs, no preseason, doesn't look like he's going to get a reinforcement in January, and is in a very difficult period. Plus, to add into the fact of the factor that the team is built to play one way. He clearly plays a totally opposite, different way, which is always going to cause problems and is going to take time to sort out and fix, right? And you factor all that stuff, and obviously we're struggling and we're not having good results, or we're not consistent, or we're having bad performances and bad results. So, for me, we need to limp across the rest of this season so that, he doesn't finish in like 16th place and get sacked. He needs to do just enough to keep the ship afloat. We get to the end of the season, do the things that we need to do as a football club, get players out, get players in, get the proper players in, get the proper players out. And then he needs to take the responsibility to make sure that the team has a good preseason, have them as fit as possible, as strong as possible, as ready to go for the first game of the season, and then you go from there. There's a Korean Manchester United fans are angry today. His name is in Korean, so I can't pronounce his name, so I'm sorry. But if you want to give me your name in English, I'll happily announce that. But they also say Amorim is trying to change a lot during the season, and I think that's a good point. Like, there's a lot that needs to be changed. There's a lot that has to be changed, and he is trying to change a lot because it needs to be and has to be. But it's in a difficult period to try and amass all these changes while you're trying to get results to kind of stay afloat and get good performances. So it's always going to be rocky. It's always going to be bumpy. It's always going to be difficult. It's never going to go swimmingly. It's impossible, which is why I'm saying that we kind of just need to try and do our best. We're going to have bad results like today. We're going to have some decent performances. We just need to make the most of what we have for the rest of the season, keep the ship afloat, get to the end of the season, and then we actually start with Ruben Amorim, and let's see what he can actually do from that point going forward. But shout out Korea. Glad you found the channel. Axe says, tell your Korean friends we need to sack Amorim. No, don't tell them that. I'm sure the Koreans are backing Ruben Amorim. Axe says Amorim has come into cash big, knowing it will be shit until the summer, and accepting to play to be the play toy of the rat and drop Radu. No, I don't think so. Listen, if he was coming into cash big, he would have went to another club. There was 3 or 4 other clubs that offered him double to triple the money that Manchester United offered him. He came to Manchester United because it's an opportunity where we are shit, and it is a win-win for him, because if he fails, it's not really going to go on him. Sure, it looks bad on his record or whatever, but in the football world, people will look at it and be like, well, every manager has failed at Manchester United, so you were doing good at Sporting, you went to an organization that has been shit for 11 plus years, and you also failed. So how much of the brunt of the blame you're going to take? If Ruben Amorim went to Manchester City and Manchester City was successful from Pep Guardiola, and Pep Guardiola leaves and Ruben Amorim went there, and then Manchester City were shit, he's obviously going to get the brunt of the blame for all of that. If he went to a Liverpool where Liverpool were challenging, and he went in and then Liverpool were shit, he's obviously going to get blamed for that because they were in a good standing. We have been shit through multiple different managers. So if he comes and he does a good job, it's a win for him because he'll get credit. If he loses, he'll get blamed in the short term. But in the footballing world, teams aren't going to take it against him so much. He'll get another job, 100%, and he'll manage somewhere else, and he'll probably do much better at whatever other job, you know. They say they don't speak English. Well, that's all right. That's all right. You do your best. Are you curious about Korean fans? Well, I know the Korean fans are very passionate Korean fans, passionate Manchester United fans. So it's not only Korean fans around Korea. Well, yeah, you got many different types of people in Korea. But very passionate fans, for sure. People also cash in the money for being sacked. But yeah, but what does that have to do with him? If he gets sacked, like, they're gonna pay him. They're gonna pay anybody. I could say that for anybody. I could say that for Carlo Ancelotti if we went and hired him and he got sacked because we don't do what we need to do as a football club, and therefore he gets bad results and gets sacked. Like, he's gonna get paid too. Erik ten Hag got paid. I could say the same claim for Erik ten Hag. Erik ten Hag wanted to leave Manchester United. He ended up staying. He got a contract extension, and he got his payday. He could have walked away if he wanted to, but he stayed to get paid. Like, I don't make these accusations about people getting paid. I don't agree with it. I don't think it's right. So, I don't. I don't think it's correct. Bruno Fernandes in the first half had 100% successful take-ons, 100% ground duels, 100% cross accuracy, 78% pass accuracy, 5 passes into the final third, 3 touches into the box, 2 ball recoveries, 2 shots, 1 goal. Efficient stuff. Yeah, but this is why I don't look at statistics, because the general play was just dog shit. So, it was a penalty. But Manchester United have failed to keep a clean sheet in any of their last 12 matches across all competitions. Why hasn't him waited until the summer then? Ax, we went over this already. He didn't wait until the summer because of INEOS. So you blame INEOS for a lot of things. Blame INEOS for that. That has nothing to do with Ruben Amorim. Most managers don't like to take jobs in the middle of the season for the specific reasons that we're seeing right now. You can't do much transfer business. He's taken over a team that started off very poorly and very shit. They have their problems. You're playing 3 matches a week. He wanted to come to Manchester United. He wanted to wait until the summer. He clearly stated that in his press conference before he came to Manchester United. He asked them, can I come in the summer? INEOS told him no. They said, you either come right now or you don't come at all, because we will go and hire a permanent manager. So if you want to blame anybody, I'm not having that blame going Ruben Amorim, because Ruben Amorim didn't want to come in the middle of the season. He didn't want to come in November. Ruben Amorim wanted to finish his season at Sporting because that's what he promised them, and promised that he was going to finish that season with Sporting and that he would leave in the summer. He asked Manchester United, I want to come to Manchester United. I want to take the job, but can I come in the summer instead of now? Just hire an interim in the meantime. INEOS told him no. They told him it's now or nothing. And therefore, he took the job because he really wanted the Manchester United job. He turned down other jobs because he was looking to go to the Manchester United job. So it's not on Ruben Amorim. If anything, that aspect is on INEOS, because INEOS forced him to come in the middle of the season. What they could have done is they could have either kept Erik ten Hag for longer, or they could have kept Ruud van Nistelrooy as a interim until the end of the season. My thinking is that they wanted the new manager in as quickly as possible so they could get to work ASAP, so they could be further along the journey quicker, so you're not delaying it. Because Ruben Amorim is here now. He's struggling. he's in a bad position, and INEOS have put him there because they demanded him to come there. But in their eyes, they looked at it as, well, we could get the manager now and start working on the things that the manager needs to start working on in November, or we can wait 7 months, we get the manager at that time, and then we start from there. In their eyes, that was delaying progress. So they pushed for Amorim to come in that period of time. Was it the wrong decision? I mean, it looks so right now because it seems like sort of a mess. But again, these things can change, because if he starts succeeding going into next season, then they technically actually come out right and not wrong. But if it ends in failure, then they were wrong 100% across the way. Right now, it looks like it wasn't a good choice and it wasn't a good decision because it's not going well. But in the long run, if it actually benefits us that he started now and that we are a much better team, let's say next season, when we go into next season, then they were correct in the decision that they made. It just took time to get there. Axe says he needs to leave. Thanks for tolerating my comments. Wish me good luck tomorrow. Well, good luck. Good luck for what? What do you got going on? And our Korean friend says, I think it's the worst game in the last 8 games. Well, yeah. I mean, we've had a few of those. So, but listen, guys. We're gonna go anyway. We're gonna get out of here. We'll probably do a show tomorrow. 2 p.m. 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. UK time. We're gonna do we'll do a show. We'll do a news show because there's probably gonna be some transfer news. There'll probably be some negative news coming out as well around Manchester United. So we'll do that. A very, very good show. Thank you guys for the support again. And thank you to everybody that smashed the like button. Thank you if you subscribed and you're new. Make sure you hit the notification bell icon so you get notified when we go live. We'll be live tomorrow for sure. And we'll speak when we go live tomorrow. Everybody take care. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Be good. Be well. And hopefully Manchester United can turn these performances and results around going forward. So we look forward to the next one. I'll catch you guys on Monday tomorrow. And I'll schedule the stream about an hour ahead of time. So everybody take care. Be good. Have a good one. And we'll speak very, very soon.